everybody, it's Lonk. It's good to see y'all again, but boy, is this gonna be awkward. I'm recording this on Wednesday night, the day before I release the video, and what did Rhino do today? They went and released their newest patch, and yeah, holy cow was Volition nerfed. Finally, it got altered in a way I think that's really gonna have an impact. Minions now are stunned until the end of turn after attacking, so you cannot attack multiple times in a turn with a Volition. You can basically use it to give a minion rush, but no longer are you able to attack multiple times, and that's going to significantly alter how this deck plays out. So I really don't even know how to do this intro, if I'm being honest, because the videos were recorded, I already did the voiceover on it, and now this deck is going to be changed because Volition is pretty much the heart and soul of this deck, and now that's been patched, it's been nerfed significantly. And don't get me wrong, I think the fact that it's been nerfed is overall going to be great for the game. I think it is a card that was somewhat degenerate and a little bit too overpowered, but it was the best tool that we had to use. So of course green-yellow decks ran it all the time, and as a result a lot of people despise this archetype. I don't blame them for it, but there are some other cards in here that are frustrating, but we'll see what happens in the coming days. But for now, I'm just going to run through the cards. I'm sure you're familiar with them by now if you played at all on the ladder. This is a deck that was run by Ariel at the recent Winter Brawl. I don't think there's anything too unique or too altered about this. I think it's a pretty standard green-yellow control deck list, but I like how this one is built, so I'm running with it. The path is going to be Turn of Seasons and the Power Impel. We have 2 Clay Effigy, 4 Maze of Yatku, 2 But Many Falls, 2 Volition, 3 Mesa Libre, 2 Wonder Drug, 2 Misanthropia, 1 Revelation of Zymek, 1 Scourge of Serpents. This is another card that was nerfed a little bit. It no longer costs 4 mana, it now costs 5. So just barely change his mind when you're watching the video. 1 Zolia the Unclean, 1 Twin Juna, 1 Sapple Devourer, and 1 Tangle Skein. As for the green, we have 3 Grinning Kolobok, 2 Born Again, 1 Detained, 3 Raid the Tombs, 1 Baba Yaga's Den, 1 Bila Witch Queen, 1 Bald Mountain, 1 Boneyard Abomination, 1 Trader's Murmur, 1 Short Stag, and 1 Iku Turso. So this deck is a mix of controlling type spells such as the Misanthropia, the Wonder Drug, Revelation and Zymek, a lot of board wipes, card draw, whatnot. If we run out of those control spells, we do have the Bald Mountain. We can play minion on those and get it back. And then we just have a bunch of big minions at our top end. Iku Turso, Short Stag, Sapo, Tangle Skein. But probably the most important one in here is Boneyard Abomination. This deck loves to play a really long game. The more minions that pile up in the Boneyard, if it can create a space where Boneyard Abomination can't be blocked, this deck likes to throw out its Abomination and then just swing for lethal in one shot. Sometimes you'll see these decks labeled as OTK, one turn kill, which is true. I mean, basically this deck just likes to play hard control, and then when it can swing in for all the damage at once, it'll do so. But like I said, there's Short Stags and Iku Turso in here too, so both of which have Overrun. So if we can get a couple attacks in using the Volition, that's what this deck did too. So that's why the fact that this has been altered is going to be significant. And if, like I said, if you played on ladder, I'm sure you're familiar with this deck. This one is very much despised. I understand the hatred towards Volition. Like I said, it is a somewhat degenerate card. I think it takes player agency right out of the player's hands. Instead of being able to respond or scramble for some kind of plan to respond to a large minion, this just allows it to swing in one shot and do all its damage. So yeah, it's a very frustrating card to deal with. Hopefully that'll be slowed down now by the latest patch. And to be honest, I like green-yellow control a lot. It's one of the first decks I ever built. I like this archetype, but I understand the animosity towards it. So Anyway, I'm not going to say too much more about it because, like I said, all the stuff I say in the video, who knows? I mean, this deck is probably going to change now that the patches come out, but you'll get an idea of how control decks play out. And overall, I think green-yellow's control strategy is going to be somewhat the same, just different mix of cards in the future. So this will at least give you a feel for the deck. We're going to see two different matchups. One is going to be against, say it with me, red, orange, heaven, and hell. It seems like I start every one of these a lot of time videos with that. And red, orange is very significant in the metagame, but I think it's really important to show it here against green-yellow control because it's red and orange mid-range is basically a deck that sprung up to combat this exact archetype. It was very dominant at one point, so red, orange, heaven, hell came up as a way to combat it. And there's also an orange-yellow artifact control deck. Show kind of the control mirror to see how it works out when two decks are both playing a long game. So both interesting, both fun games to watch. So sit back, relax, enjoy. Let's get into the games. Okay, the opponent in game one is Jumper Redux, playing red, orange, heaven, and hell. And let's just go. And the obvious play here is going to be burn the Chort Stag, play out the Kolobok. If I have a choice between the Maze and the Kolobok on turn one, I usually like to go Maze. But Kolobok works just fine. I'll try and ramp. I Fire Song Prodigy, that's going to put an Ignition in the opponent's hand. So there's not going to be much ramping here. I'm only going to really be able to get in this one move. And instead of just hopping away, I choose to stay and block. That's the wrong move on my part. I'm playing the control deck. I should be forcing the opponent to use as many of their resources as fast as possible. I'm playing a much longer game than this deck is. So, yeah, that's going to come back to bite me momentarily. Okay, Baba Yaga's Den, block the Ifrit. Maze on the falls to gain some life. And this is where it bites me. If I had hopped away with the Kolobok, maybe the opponent would have used it. And that Baba Yaga's Den could have lived. I could have healed it on my turn, but it's what it is. Bad move on my part. Now I do have the Scourge of Serpents in hand. I do want to play it out, but I don't want to fire it off too early. I want to see if I can maybe bait my opponent into playing maybe a Rush minion or something smaller so I can get more Serpents. And Seal of Exile, that's perfectly fine with me if the opponent wants to use it on the Born Again. We have a lot bigger, scarier things in here, so it's good that they're playing it early on the Born Again. And also the fact that we ramped the mana, we're basically ahead 2 mana here. So that's going to work in our favor as well. Dashing Ringmaster, so the patience pays off. That can get eaten by a snake. Here they come. Also, we'll gain a couple life because one lands on the many falls. And I did not factor in their path. I think that's just a path a lot of people forget about. So the Ifrit healed one. It did not die the snake, but that's alright. We can take it out on the attack. And Twin Juna is the perfect top deck here. Now I can really start putting some pressure on the opponent. That Panic Raider just really has nowhere to go. But the opponent does have Dark Passenger, so it's just going to hop over, take out one of the twins. That's the right move from the opponent. And opponent has no response, so we'll just swing in for a whole bunch of damage. Draw a couple cards in case we need any more answers. And we don't get an answer, but we get another threat. That's a Tangle Skein. So our opponent's back is against the wall. Hey there. Opponent's just kind of flailing here at this point. It's not going to do a whole lot of good. And that'll be the game. So the fact that we were able to ramp even just one, we were able to outvalue our opponent's minions. Our minions were just better than theirs on the battlefield. And the fact that they used the Seal of Exile early also worked in our favor. But more than anything, just Scourge of Serpents, just showing what an awesome little card that is. It just clogged up the board. Our opponent had minions that were all 1 and 2 health, except for the Ifrit, but that were able to take care of right away. And they just couldn't get around it. So we took control of the board very early on. We drew the twin when we needed to, so we were able to get a lot of pressure. And that's one way to play control. First couple turns, we're just kind of controlling the board. We kind of stabilized very quickly with the Scourge Serpents, and then once we were able to stabilize, we were able to throw a couple big minions. Our opponent didn't have any answers, and that's one way we win. And to be perfectly honest, when I was recording these, I think I did 3 matches against the Red, Orange, Heaven, and Hell decks, and that was the first one that I won. So I know it looked easy there, but really, Red, Orange, Heaven, Hell, as I said in the introduction, it really is a tough matchup for this deck. Heaven Hell is basically built to beat these kind of control decks, but, that is one way we can win. And if anything, it shows it's certainly not impossible to win against Red, Orange mid-range. So that's game number 1. Now let's move ahead to game number 2. Alrighty, the second game here is going to be against Marion WNW, playing Orange-Yellow Control, otherwise known as Aztec Control. And Aztec Control is probably one I'm going to have to play on this channel at some point, because I really do like the design of it. Looks like a lot of fun. But for now, let's just get going. Alright, Orange deck doing orange things. There's a recruit, there's a token. And this time I'm going to be able to play the maze out on turn 1. Don't want to really block though, so I'm just going to play away from the recruit. I just want to draw a card off of it.
Do we have a mission?
Born Again, always a good pickup against this type of deck, because Orange likes to trade very early on with their smaller minions. And Born Again can just keep trading turn after turn. Right. Unfortunately, I don't have a great solution for the Shadowvar, so I'm just going to play out the Mesa Libre. Hopefully I come up with a solution. I probably could have attacked into it with the Born Again, and then the Mesa would have been able to take it out, but that would have left the recruit on the board. So I don't know. I guess I could have gone either way with it. Right, Baba Yaga's dead. So now I have a nice big blocker. Alchemical Key. So now their defenders will be able to attack as well. There's a Forgeling. There's a Maze which can attack us because of the key. And at this point I'm just going to wipe the board. They're starting to flood it a bit. It's also worth noting I have the Bald Mountain in hand. So if I can put that down on one of my minions, I can bring that Misanthropia right back. Twin on turn 6, almost always a great play. Now I can get some major pressure on the opponent. Right, Seal of Exile is going to take out one of ours. I'm going to start poking away with the Forgeling. Not too worried about it yet, so I'm going to put down the Born Again. Won't kill the Forgeling, but it will slow it down for a turn. Alright, that's a parry at the gates. Opponent's going to draw a couple cards. So our card advantage is starting to disappear. I raid the tomb, see if I can find an answer for that parry. And Mesa Libre will do it. So I'll stun it for a turn. The next turn I can attack the Meso and the Kolobak into it. 2 for 1 it. There's a second parry. So opponent's drawing a ton of cards here. And at this point I'm just going to detain 1 parry so it does less damage to my twin. And then I'm going to detain the Forgeling to get rid of it completely. There's a 2 for 1. Attacking the parry. So once again our opponent's board is empty. And they have a pair of twins of their own. And at this point I think it's best to just Misanthropia. It might be a little reckless to do it without baiting out a little more power onto the battlefield, but we have the Bald Mountain in hand, so it's always possible to just slap that down on a minion real quick and bring it right back. And I could have drawn a card with the maze, but I wanted to block the twin. Right. They're going to play Revelation Zymek, draw a bunch of cards. Put a clay effigy, but I'm not planning on attacking with the Born Again. Think here I'm just going to put the Bald Mountain on it, draw a card. So our opponent will know we have the Misanthropia in hand, but that may work to our advantage. They may hold back a bit, they may try and play around it. Hopefully we can work that to our advantage. A mode of duality, that's not good for us. Whenever they play a second minion on their turn, they'll draw a card. And Boneyard Abomination. And as you can see, it has 12 power. So if I can draw a second Volition, we can just end the game very quickly. So I'm just kind of digging, trying to find that second Volition. So our opponent must have picked up on that, because as you're going to see, the opponent plays the defenses out perfect. We have no lane to be able to attack into, so our opponent has picked up on that we have our winning combo in hand. Unfortunately, we have that third Misanthropia. So let's wipe the board again. Still need to find the Volition though. And hello, beautiful. So now we have our Wombo combo in hand. We can take out the opponent. Their board is empty. I'm going to leave it up to them to set themselves up. And once again, the opponent plays it perfect. We don't have a lane to attack into. So now I got to shift my strategy a little bit. I'm going to play Iku Turso. I'm going to use one of the Volitions on it. That way I can get more pressure on the opponent. And if they don't have an answer, they might be lethal next turn. They play out the Armageddon Angel, but that's actually going to seal their fate. They don't have enough blockers to stop my Boneyard Abomination, or I can just Trader's Murmur the Angel, play out the Volition, and finish him off that way. And I think that game is a good example of why people hate Volition so much. The opponent played the defenses perfect, they wiped the board, and when you wipe the board, you expect that to protect yourself, but instead of protecting them, it ended up being their doom because we stole their Armageddon Angel and then hit him with Volition. And really, the problem with Volition overall is you just feel like you have no control over what's happening on the board. You don't have a chance to respond. You don't have a chance to do anything about it. If I had just played out the Boneyard Abomination and passed the turn, then the opponent's left scrambling to find something to do. But instead, when you put a big minion out, just play Volition on it, they don't have a chance to respond. And if they don't have any blockers, well, then the game just ends. So it leads to some feel bad moments. And I think that right there is an example why people despise the green-yellow decks. And like I said at the beginning, I do like this type of deck overall. I do like the control. I do like what green yellow is doing. There's just some degenerate cards in there that'll have to be worked out over time, I think. But overall, I hope that's a good showing of what green yellow can do. Like I said, green yellow is very, very, very good in this metagame. It's one of the elite decks, if not the elite deck out there. There's really very few, if any, bad matchups against it. Well, there is one tough matchup. That's the red-orange mid-range. A deck that was basically built to beat these type of decks. But overall, if you want to climb the ladder really quickly, green-yellow control, it's almost a sure bet to do that. You know, there's some controversy with it. There's some disdain towards it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. People are going to use the best cards that they can. And yeah, green-yellow certainly has a lot of great tools that people can use. So that's all I've got for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, hit like and subscribe below. Let me know what you think of the deck. Do you like green-yellow? Do you hate green-yellow? Do you think Volition should be banned, or what further changes do you think should be made to it to make it a more fair card? And I will see you guys again next week. We'll be doing another Casual Tuesday next Tuesday. And till then, have a good day.